And so we're going to get right into the UFO report. Here is little Timmy Seanor.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
All right, Tim Seanor, what's happening, my man? Good to have you for a little bit more of extended time here on the UFO report. But you know what? Hey, there is not much else going on right now. So we figured we'd drag you out of bed. You know, we know you got your pajama bottoms on while doing this. How you been, buddy? You need to turn your mic on your end, and that usually helps with radio.
Yeah, there's a little button. Didn't hit the little button, Dave. Thank you for that.
Little-
Things are great here, though. Things are great. Thank you
buttons.
for asking.
Little buttons usually help.
There's just this little button. All I had to do was press it. It's so simple. Simple radio. But I'll tell you what, there are things going on. There are big time things going on. In fact, was it last night? I think I saw something in the sky and I texted my buddy Dave. I'm like, you're not going to believe it. I think I just saw a UFO. It was crazy. I saw something bizarre in the sky last night traveling east. And it was funny because I had my phone and it moved so quick. I didn't even have time to get it with my phone in my hand. And I had my, I'd been using the radar because I'd just seen a satellite. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it was traveling north. And then all of a sudden, just as quick as just in a blink of an eye, this ball of white light just flew east without any trail, totally silent. And I already had my satellite tracker open, and it was absolutely not a satellite. So I don't know what it was. It's officially a UFO in my book, but I have nothing but this anecdotal story. But for me, it was still really cool because it just moved so fast. I'd never seen anything move that quickly in the sky. It was really intense.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, when you get a sighting like that, I mean, the emotion that you kind of go through in order to you know, have that extreme sort of fun. I mean, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool to get that adrenaline rush from seeing something you don't recognize in the sky, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's ET, but either way, it wasn't something that showed up on any of my immediate data trackers. I didn't have any tech or anything with me, really, even though it was all in my house. It's actually all packed and ready for shipping. I'm about to go on a trip. So, as you well know.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Oh, a little old British Columbia, coming up to visit you and Merle, and gonna film you guys on your adventures. But this was a really cool little taste because I wasn't expecting to see something right on my front porch. And I think I texted you. I texted, Terry Hall, who's also a buddy that lives out here in Oregon. I'm like, go look outside and get your camera, because he has a Psionics camera, and I was hoping he could maybe capture it, except it was going east, and he's not east of me, unfortunately. But still really cool. One for just me, at least, that there's things out there that don't show up on radar, that aren't, blipping. It's just an other box. Who knows? But super cool.
It is very cool, dude. I'm so excited about you coming on up here. I really am. And for our little project that we are going to be working on over the next little bit here, it's exciting times to be able to have those positive moving forward discussions on, how we're going to do things, how it's going to look. What kind of pants should old Davey wear? This is stuff that's
should he wear pants?
Oh, I'm going to wear pants, man, because I know the mosquitoes are going to be absolutely crazy out there.
No shorts for you then.
No shorts for Davey when we go out into the forest.
It's going to be such an adventure meeting the big hairy man. Not Dave, the big hairy man. The other one that lives out there.
Hopefully,
the Bigfoot.
Hopefully he shows up.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get something, Tim. I really do believe we're going to get something.
I'm feeling lucky.
Me too. Question from NeuroStream here, and I think it's an important one. What do you think's happening with the Logan Paul UFO video? Because he's gone pretty silent on that. He really has. What's your thoughts, Tim?
My personal thoughts, I mean, he's getting married right now. I think Logan Paul is focused on, his prime being in the headlines, because there's just way too much caffeine in those cans. But I think, he's got other things going on in his life on the immediate. But I think he danced away from that topic pretty nicely. I don't think that he plans on doing anything with it because I think he considers that stolen, and that's part of the reason I feel like he hasn't come forward with that. I'd love to see his button cam video, but the owner didn't want it to be made public. So I think he's respecting that. So at least he's keeping it to himself. But that's ways and means that I don't necessarily agree with. I would never steal media. What's happening with the Logan Paul video? I don't think anything. I think he's sitting on it for right now. And whenever he's asked about it directly, he changes the topic, I think, just because he feels probably an element of guilt at how he acquired it. Button cam video, come on. That's pretty low.
I would agree with you on that one. And I think that he look, when you're that rich and you have a team of lawyers around you that are controlling your life to make sure you don't do anything stupid that's going to cost you millions or whatever. And you know what? He may act like quite a fool on camera on his YouTube channel or his podcast or whatever, but he's done very well for himself as he's matured and surrounded himself with proper business people. And whoever helped lead him to that direction, good for them in doing that. Okay. He's a self-made guy.
And he's a great wrestler.
And I'm surprised he hasn't gone WWE full time yet. I'm just saying that,
who knows?
They'd put a belt on him in no time.
He's still young. So
true, but he doesn't need the money. That's the thing.
Those guys don't. The Rock doesn't do it for the money. Come on, those guys, they do it because they love it. I mean, forget about it. The money's nice, I'm sure, but I think there's some passion there, even though it's WWE. At the same rate, I think that a lot of those guys love their fans and just love doing it. Who knows?
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that. But I bet you his lawyers shut this down very, very quickly because there was probably a letter that was sent from the original owner and the fact that he admitted that he stole the video.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure there was a multi-million-dollar piece of paper that was handed over saying that if you release this, we're coming after a good chunk of your income.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff, though, needless to say. And if he is sitting on evidence, I would hope that Clark would release it at some point. I think that's the person that needs to release it.
What's really cool is
Chuck Clark.
in the 1 second here, Tim.
Yeah.
I don't mean to go to dead air here for a second.
It's not dead air. You got me. And I was just going to say, I think Chuck Clark is really the one that should come forward with the video, even if it's, not perfect and it's old.
What's really cool is when you go to the Little Alien in Rachel, Nevada, you actually can buy a book for like $17. And it's just a little pasted book. But if you look who created this, Chuck Clark.
Yeah.
And he's autographed them all.
And you know what's cool is, you know, it is really his signature, because go ahead and hold yours up and I'll hold mine up. The signatures are different. Like, they're similar, but it's actually not the same.
And in different spots.
Yeah. Different spots is probably even a better point.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Very cool. And the information in it is really interesting. You're not going to get it. It's not the full package when you get it online, because it is available online. It's interesting. There's information that's not online that's in the book. Some of the details that you can tell, it's a little more controversial.
Oh yeah.
And the maps and things. So
it is so interesting to look at.
Yeah.
So interesting to look at. Oh yes, gotta love it.
Indeed.
Gotta love it. All right, let's get to some UFO topics for tonight, because that's why we do bring you in here, little Timmy Seanor.
Oh yeah.
And let's start off with the U.S. government's secret project that follows alien abductees. What's this about?
Interesting. Yeah. And this is brought to us by Nicholas Redfern. And for years, numerous abductees have reported close encounters, not just with UFOs and aliens, but with what have become infamously known as the black helicopters. And these usually unmarked craft are reported flying over the homes of abductees. On occasion, they'll hover over the same homes for minutes at a time, and precariously low levels. Typically, they turn up within a day or two of an alien abduction experience. And so all of the evidence suggests that the helicopters are piloted by quote-unquote black ops teams who have three primary agendas. A, to try to determine the range and scope of the alien abductions. B, to frighten the experiencers into staying quiet on their experiences. And C, to figure out the true nature of the extraterrestrial agenda. So the black helicopter-based experiences of numerous people have been addressed deeply, including those abductees such as Betty Andreasson, one of the most famous figures in ufology. And Dave, you've brought her up a few times on this show. But not only that, there are claims that deep within the heart of the Department of Homeland Security, there exists a small group that secretly and actively monitors the alien abduction issue. And so much of this is undertaken by keeping a careful watch on social media, primarily Facebook and Twitter, as well as websites, blogs, lectures, podcasts, conferences, and books. The DHS group is secretly compiling an extensive database of alien abductees all over the United States and the planet. And so on occasion, DHS agents have visited the homes of abductees, warning them not to talk about their UFO abduction experiences, and in some recent years gone so far as to threaten these people. And so such actions may have been interpreted as so-called men in black encounters, and sometimes drugs were induced to make those experiences more intense. Now, how about a careful examination of the MyLab phenomenon that, which has been escalating in the 20th century? The military abductions, this is all part of these reports. And so some people are saying that they're not aliens and they're military. And so there's a lot of history behind this. And you can go into more deeper affairs, evidence of serious government concerns about the real alien abduction phenomenon continuing through the 1950s all the way up to present day. And Dave, I know we've talked about it a few times on the show. This is a great article coming from Mysterious Universe. And I encourage people to go there and read deeper, because we all know that this is a topic that isn't easily spoken about publicly. And when it is, it's the government that's probably listening in. And Dave, I see that you're wearing your favorite hat Over to you.
Well, I think going into this speech, first and foremost, that we should say hello, hi, how are you, to all the agents and agencies that are tuned on into Spaced Out Radio tonight. Give us a call sometime because you already have the number. We don't need to provide it for you. And remember, some of us can be bought. I don't know if you just heard this a moment ago, but I've got the studio window open here. And I got like a coyote in my neighbor's yard howling right now. I don't know if you heard that or not.
I didn't. I was probably talking.
When
That's great.
When I took the headphones off, to put my my beautiful National Security Agency hat on that was given to me at our Spaced Out Radio party, it makes for interesting times. But let's talk about this because this is an interesting subject. Okay. First and foremost, you and I both know, and we can thank Random Guy for this, okay, for telling us and confirming that a show like ours is very much paid attention to by what we are talking about and who we are talking with on a nightly basis. We know for a 100% fact, we in our chat rooms on YouTube have members of the National Security Agency and other agencies who chat with us on a nightly basis. That's already been proven.
Yeah, good guys.
All right. That has 100% been proven. And, we may only have, we're not the biggest radio show out there. We may only have 8 terrestrial radio stations, which is a lot more than 99% of the UFO community. Okay. We may only have, we're just creeping up on 23,000 subscribers on YouTube. I would love to see another 100,000. I really would. Okay. But as we go forward, we have been told that we are being paid attention to, along the fact with a lot of other of the larger and smaller shows that are out there like this. We're paid attention to because we are free information for these alphabet agencies. They want to know who we're talking to when it comes to alien abductions. When I talk about my own, you don't think that's on record somewhere? Of course it is, Tim. Your sighting with your family is on record.
Reported it.
Absolutely. They have it all, right? And you look at our SOR fan party. How many members? I mean, I didn't know up until shortly before our party that former CIA person, John Ramirez, was going to be there. He's now finished up all of his podcast duties and he's gone silent.
Good guy.
Okay. We didn't know that there would be other people there. Okay. Making strange things happen around Random Guy. We don't know, who these people are. Another prime example, David Grush last year attending a number of UFO conferences and nobody knew who he was up until a couple months ago when he came out as a major whistleblower on the UFO topic, formerly of the UAPTF. They being the agents and agencies are surrounding us in this area. And look, that may sound very Tom Clancy-like, okay, but I think it's intriguing. I think it's fun. Right now in our chat room, we don't know, unless somebody tells us, we don't know who an agent or agency is. If I read off half of the nicknames in here, you wouldn't be able to tell. And they are here every night. Every night. Does it make me paranoid? Not at all. Not at all. It intrigues me. It's like I've always said on the air, Tim, with our chat room, I always wonder how many famous people have listened to our show. And I got reminded of this the other day because somebody I idolize in the YouTube community is a magician named Chris Ramsey. He's a Canadian magician out of Montreal. And when I got told that on his own podcast, he mentioned Spaced Out Radio. This is a guy with 7.14 million followers on YouTube. Okay. And I geek out to his puzzle quests that he does every week. And I watch them, and a lot of the times I'll retweet them on our account. Well, he got tripped out because one of the dudes who's played Spider-Man in the past is someone who was, on a television show or a podcast talking about Chris Ramsey's, puzzle channel and magic channel. And Chris was like, I can't believe this. Spider-Man watches my channel. And I'm like, dude, now you know how I felt when I learned that you were tuning into Spaced Out Radio and talking about it. So I always wonder, in our audience, because on YouTube you could make your name whatever you want, how many movie stars or rock stars or athletes are tuned on into the show? I will never know. Well, I would love to know. Like, could you imagine if all of a sudden you find out that like Floyd Mayweather tunes in, or Dana White from the UFC tunes in? That would be wonderful news. Would I keep it quiet? Absolutely, I would. Absolutely, because you got to play that game. But I mean, it would be cool to know. And it's the same thing with the UFO conferences, Tim. Hey, you never know who's listening in at any time. When we return on the UFO Report with Tim Seanor, alien hunter of Harvard accused of stealing materials? Avi Loeb, are you in trouble? My name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio. The final half hour is next. Yeah.
Do you know who Rhys Darby is?
No.
He's a New Zealander who has a show called This Flag Means Death on HBO. And he's a comedian, and he's fantastic. And he did a great podcast while everyone was staying home. He's just great. Anyways, he's got a sidekick named Buttons. And we ran into Buttons. And Buttons got Rhys Darby on the phone, and we had a conversation with him. And it was like one of those moments where you get to meet your personal hero,
Yeah.
And we were talking about your show. And so I'll tell you, you might have Rhys watching, but he probably wouldn't be watching live. He'd be doing a rewatch. But he knows all about you. And Rhys has his own Bigfoot and paranormal podcast with Buttons. Yeah. And so you guys are super like-minded, and we have all kinds of things in common. He wants to go across country in an RV and search out the phenomenon just the way I do. So yeah, it's one of those things. So you get a chance once in a while to meet your heroes, and sometimes they're just as cool as you were hoping.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, I'm just tweeting a picture here for Chris Ramsey. We follow each other on Twitter, which is kind of cool.
What did you think of that crazy video that Thomas Fessler forwarded to you today?
That looked like you?
Isn't that bizarre?
That was totally bizarre. Totally bizarre.
Yeah.
How bizarre. How bizarre. How bizarre.
I mean, let's see if I can bring it up here. It flipped me out. I was like, I never did that. I'm like, I don't have that sweatshirt. I thought for a second it was me, but he had a tattoo on his inner right arm that made it a dead giveaway that it wasn't. But other than that, I was like, whoa, this guy looks like me. This guy looks like me. He's even got the similar, let's see if I can get it to focus. And he's doing the polka. He's a polka DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are the chances that you get your doppelganger sent to you via Twitter? Homie really does look like me. The funny thing is, I showed this to my wife. She's like, yeah, but that guy looks really old. I'm like, oh, great. Everyone thinks that I look like this guy. So, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, that is very much look-alike-y. I'm not sure what he's doing there. He's doing one of these. I don't know if I can sort of. There you go.
I love
Meme
it.
that. GIF that.
Love it.
That's for you guys.
It's totally little Timmy Seanor.
Polka.
Right there.
I swear it's not me.
Total little Timmy Seanor.
Polka. It's too funny.
Polka.
It is too funny.
Oh,
I don't know whether to feel bad for me or him.
I don't know.
Spitting image. Gotta love it. Wes Decker, thank you for the chuckles. It's just funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Totally funny. We got like a minute and a half.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So, has Sam given you any updates on the hairy man in the woods? Is he getting ready?
Oh, she is getting ready.
I'm so stoked.
She's getting ready. She's putting the intentions out there. You have to, man.
Do you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You guys in your woo. To me, it's more woo-hoo than woo. But
yeah, I can't wait to see little Timmy Seanor.
I'm just gonna
sprinting out of the forest.
No, man, I'm gonna hunker down. I'm gonna freeze. Just like you. You said you're gonna freeze.
You're hilarious. You're not gonna freeze. It's warm up here right now, man.
No, I mean, like, if I see him and if I'm not instead of running away, I'm just gonna freeze.
Oh, probably.
Statue.
Probably.
I'm like, Dave, you're statuing. Should I statue? You're like, yeah, you should statue.
Yeah, it's a good time to statue right now. All right, Tim, we got 5 seconds. Hold on. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to hear you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Tim Seanor and the UFO Report, and it looks like the man who wants to be the face of ufology, Avi Loeb, the famed professor and astrophysicist from Harvard University, may be in a little bit of hot water right now, Tim.
That's right. Got to get your permits, right? That's a big part of any expedition. Make sure you let the locals know and the local government that you're going to be doing an expedition where you'll be taking away samples. I think that's kind of the lesson here. A Harvard boffin who has discovered what he thought could be remnants of an alien technology or spacecraft at the bottom of the ocean has been accused of stealing the space debris by Papua New Guinea. And so Professor Avi Loeb, who's been dubbed the alien hunter of Harvard, has dedicated years of his life to leading the Ivy League University's Galileo project. And so last month, he finally made a breakthrough when the $1.5 million expedition into search of a meteor which crashed Earth nearly a decade ago ended in success. On January 8th of 2014, the object, now known as IM-1, hurtled through Earth's atmosphere at 100,000 miles per hour, disintegrating into fragments off the coast of Manus Island in Papua New Guinea. And so Avi Loeb and his team of students went out on a journey looking for the deep sea debris. And so after narrowing down the point it hit in the sea, Professor Loeb and his team of deep sea explorers spent 2 weeks combing the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, literally combing, and announced at the end of June that he had recovered what they believed to be fragments of the interstellar object. And so the team dragged a giant magnet along the seabed to uncover 50 tiny iron sphere shaped fragments. And so the team brought back to Harvard to analyze this debris and found that it was tougher than all space rock ever cataloged by NASA. And so he told CBS News that the fact is that it was made of materials tougher than even iron meteorites and moving faster than 95% of all stars in the vicinity of the sun, suggested potentially it could be part of a spacecraft from another civilization or some technological gadget. But in a twist to the potential breakthrough, the controversial professor, whose speculation has been branded premature by some scientists, has been slammed by Papua New Guinea officials who have accused him of literally cheating their country. And so authorities claim Professor Loeb and his team removed the mysterious space debris without obtaining scientific research permits. And so they feel that literally they've been cheated, in a quote from the George Penua Pellon, the deputy administrator of Manus. And so he added in this quote that they came here, no one knew about it, and now they've gone. What have they found? Does it have value? Do we have rights over it? If it's scientific research, how are our scientific institutions going to benefit? And so now Papua New Guinea's National Research Institute, who coordinates research applications from overseas scientists, claim Loeb's team didn't contact them and arrived on business visas rather than the special exemption visas usually issued to scientists. So it's starting to look like a lot of the planning fell through the gaps, and they didn't let the right authorities know that they were coming and planning to take debris away. And this could be a little bit of a thorn in the side of Professor Loeb furthering this research. It could mean, I don't know, all kinds of things, but there's some implications that could definitely mean a halt to their procedures moving forward on their investigations in Papua New Guinea for sure. Dave, how do you feel about this right now?
I'm going to speak honestly and boldly here. I think it looks good on him. That may not be a very popular opinion, okay, but Avi Loeb over the last couple years has really treated this story like he's the gift to ufology that ufology's always wanted. Okay, and look, he's a brilliant man. You don't get to where Avi Loeb is in a prestigious, teaching in a prestigious school like Harvard by being a dummy like Dave Scott. Okay, I can tell you that right now. He is a brilliant man, but at points I think there's a lot of arrogance and ego that goes along with this because he wants to be the man. He wants to prove to his colleagues that he was right on his call in saying that the old Oumuamua that flew past here in 2017 was actually a spacecraft and not a piece of space debris or junk or an asteroid or part of an exploded star or whatever it may be. He is thoroughly convinced on that. And that's what made me a fan of Avi Loeb. Okay, but when he created the Galileo project, I think we saw something different in him. It was a hyper ego move to create Galileo. I realized it had to be done, but when he started adding government researchers or with government ties, to me that really lost focus on the project at hand. It turned from being a civilian type of research that we had our guy in the bank, and it seemed like he turned on us when all of a sudden he started adding a number of government scientists, government agents. You don't if you're looking for the science of it, Lou Elizondo, no offense to Lou, doesn't have to be on the Galileo project. Okay, he doesn't. If this is the way you're going with a scientific and non-threat narrative side, and many others on that list can be highly questioned as well. And I think you would agree with that. Okay, maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think from talking to people who know Avi Loeb much better than I do, word on the street is he believes he can win a Nobel Prize for this work, and he will stop at nothing in order to get that Nobel Prize and the fame and fortune that comes along with it. So was this an ego move? He's done enough of these over the years, maybe not looking for UFO parts, okay, but enough of these studies over the years around the world to know how they are to be completed. But I think this one was done purely out of ego, and I think it looks good on the project.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you to some extent, except, I mean, I agree with there's an element of ego and he probably does want to win the Nobel Prize. But at the same rate, I love the concept of bringing science and, an enthusiasm and discovery and engaging students. That whole concept, I think, is fantastic. The other part I like is boots on the ground investigations. I think that's great. I wouldn't approve something that's tearing up the seabed, of dragging a magnet. I don't like that acquisition. That's not gathering in a very great way. I'd rather send divers down or do something other than just dragging the floor. That seems really invasive. But Professor Loeb claims that he did engage with Papua New Guinea officials, but it sounds like just not the right ones, or perhaps he got the wrong permits. And this is one of those things where, frustratingly, he may need to return those spherules or whatever he's calling them. Do your science on them and then return them to the country that you acquired them from, and try and undo some of the damage you've done, if there is any. But at the same rate, I do encourage this kind of scientific investigation, just less invasive. I don't think we need to tear up our planet to find anything unless we're sure it's there. Like, let's be sure before we dig. And we already know that our seabeds need protection. So I'm somebody that's really an advocate for sea protection. So I don't like that he was dragging a magnet from day one. But all that personal Greenpeace aside, I do like the investigation portion of this. And I do feel that this, being publicly shown as like he didn't do the proper whatever here, I think it's important, because it's a learning thing for him too. This has never been done before. So hopefully moving forward, he'll get all the permits that he needs so that if it is an issue about tearing up the seabed, because perhaps that's why this wasn't the permit that he acquired. I'm totally guessing. I don't know. But my point is simply that you need to make sure you're given all the permissions to go somewhere, especially in another country. But that's one of the things you just have to do.
Well, and I agree with you on that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, his team is smart enough where they know they need those permits. You just can't go and take stuff from another country. That's like going to Egypt and finding a new pyramid and deciding to raid it without any consequences. There is no difference. I mean, we have to, if we go traveling to a different country, if I come down to the USA and I get caught speeding, I can't just say, oh, well, I didn't know. I didn't know that you had speed limits down here.
Or that you needed an international driver's license.
You do not need that in the US.
In Canada, you do though, right?
No.
No?
Canada, US, and Mexico, you do
Cool.
not need an international driver's license.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're lucky that way.
But international waters.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next topic here. Bob Lazar said UFO was archaeological findings. What's this about?
Yeah, I was digging away online, and I discovered on How and Why's a great story from Vicky Verma. And, you know, this is always something gonna be good. So, recently, Ross Coldhart's statement on the alleged huge buried UFO outside of the United States unleashed a storm in the UFO community. He claims that he knows the exact location of this craft, and now UFO enthusiasts are haunting and hunting the alleged site where this gigantic immovable craft could possibly be sitting. And so scientists have explored the possibility of detecting ancient civilizations in Earth's geological record. And they discuss how traces of the industrial civilizations could possibly be found. And even NASA spent years seeking the truth regarding extraterrestrial life, looking underground and looking at macroscopic and microscopic life to consider what's potential on other planets such as Mars. And so considering possibilities that we've been hearing coming from eye-opening statements from officials like Lou Elizondo and others, they discuss crash retrievals and materials related to unidentified flying objects. And Elizondo even acknowledged the sensitivity of the topic and the potential consequences of discussing it openly. Now, Elizondo also expressed his belief that the U.S. government does possess exotic materials, but he could not provide further details due to the lack of transparency from the government. And so he mentioned the 3 layers of analysis that can be conducted on a piece of material, namely physical, chemical, and atomic or nano level research, but suggesting that these materials exhibit engineered characteristics and peculiarities outside of the normal range is known as metamaterials and is raising questions about origin of the technology. So bringing up Bob Lazar. Now, we are remembering back that Bob Lazar had been one of the first people that actually considered the craft that he was looking at as being something that had been discovered. And when Rogan, during his interview with Bob Lazar, he asked, have you ever asked anyone that has any inkling of any idea of where they got them or how they got them? Lazar replied, no, but something must have been said to me from Barry, who was his lab partner at the time. And he can't quite remember exactly what was said, but it just left a seed in his mind. And in a quote, he says, I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. So it's old. Something that at least one of them is old. I don't know if that's the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig. So Mr. Loeb believes that it's possible that some of the technological advancement devices made by early inhabitants of Mars and Earth are still operational elsewhere in the solar system. And he even suggests that some of those gadgets could be the source of some of these reports that the Director of National Intelligence of Congress has been discussing. But he's not alone in thinking that there's advanced civilization and some evidence of it buried archaeologically around the planet. Some people even have guessed that the pyramids of Egypt were built around wrecked craft or parts, or even built from parts. So it's interesting that Bob Lazar brought it up in his interview with Rogan, but you can tell that somewhere along the way that seed stuck with Bob, because he brings it up in that interview. And even though he can't guarantee that it was the craft that he himself worked on, he believes that at least one of the ones that were in that recovery location were from an archaeological dig that was recovered from underground.
Have you noticed recently that all of a sudden everything has to do with archaeology? Avi Loeb, now this Bob Lazar story, the Ross Coulthart story about the craft that crashed. They built a building around it because they couldn't get it out, and it was too big. I mean, this is turning into real Indiana Jones type stuff here, Tim.
Maybe it's just in time for the new Indiana Jones movie. Who knows? Maybe it's all to sell the new flick, Dave.
No, but the timing's weird. Honestly. You know, I mean, this isn't a conspiracy theory or anything like that, but I mean, the timing is weird regarding things like that. And I just don't get it sometimes.
Oh, Hollywood definitely, I think, mirrors what's going on in the world. So I agree with you there.
Very true. Very true. But I mean, at like 117 years old, does Indiana Jones still have it? You know, like, come on, Harrison Ford. You know, you're 117.
He sends his minions now to do all the heavy lifting.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We got 2.5 minutes to go here. I'm surprised Bob Lazar would talk about something like this, because it just seems way out of his realm, doesn't it?
It does. And I'm not an advocate of Bob Lazar's story or anything. I think it's just interesting that it's being highlighted now at the time that, you know, Ross Coulthart, who also speaks from the hip, brings out this claim. But he holds all the answers, yet he won't tell it to us. Like, he knows where it is, but come on, man. Tell us where it is if you know. You're killing us.
Right? Right? I want to know, man.
I want to know.
I totally want to know. I'm pumped up about learning and knowing more. But I mean, realistically, if they're crashing, if we knew where the crash sites were, okay, if we knew where the crash sites were, would we not do the same? I mean, think about it. Wouldn't you take, if let's say, you know, 15 minutes from your house, an old farmer's field, you know, that's maybe turned into public land now, wouldn't you take a metal detector and start going over that field where there was an alleged UFO craft? I would.
Well, yeah, and let's just say that there was a massive craft that they recovered at Skinwalker Ranch, and they suddenly realize, oh my gosh, and like it's showing. Don't you think potentially they would immediately cover it? They would put a building around it so they could excavate it properly. Like, I don't quite know what to expect next. I like what you said, though.
Well, I mean, I just look at it as it's the way it has to be. I mean, it doesn't have to be too difficult. Old Davey's not into the difficult stuff.
Well, I definitely, I love it. I think at some point it's going to uncover itself. I really do. So whether it comes from, you know, a Rogan interview from Bob Lazar, or if we get it from Ross Coulthart, or if we're getting it from some new voice, hopefully a firsthand witness, maybe they can point to a map and tell us where to look, because I'm ready to see a craft.
Oh, me too. Me too, man. Well, you saw one last night, so you're one up on me, you know. But I'll wait for the close encounter. You can see all the craft you want. I want the close encounters, man.
Don't blink, because you'll miss them, man. Whew. Fast.
Well,
fast.
Tim, I want to say thank you for another great UFO report on Spaced Out Radio. You outdid yourself once again, my man. So thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this. You're a big part of what we do, and I'm very excited to see you next week. And a big thank you to Science Bob McGuire for coming on in for a great show, taking everything into account regarding UFOs. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter and hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night.